You've been learning wrong your entire life, and before you get defensive, relax. It's not entirely your fault. You were taught this way. Sit down, shut up, copy what's on the board, memorize it the night before the exam, then wonder why you feel slow, burnt out, and left behind. And deep down, you already know something's off, because if this system actually worked, you wouldn't still be struggling to remember things you studied just last month. Let me make this clear right away. I'm not here to motivate you. Motivation is cute, but it wears off faster than your New Year's resolutions. What you need isn't hype, it's a better way to use your brain. Because the truth is, learning doesn't have to take years, semesters, or endless late nights. Some people really do learn entire subjects in days or weeks. Not because they're geniuses, not because they're special, but because they were never playing the same game as everyone else. Here's the lie schools sell you. Learning means avoiding mistakes. Get the answer right. Don't guess. Don't embarrass yourself. Study until you're ready. Sounds responsible, right? It's also the slowest possible way to learn. Your brain doesn't grow from getting things right. It grows when you get stuck, fail, and then figure things out. That's why the first method schools ignore is learning through intentional mistakes. Instead of opening the book and passively reading, you start by closing it. Yes, closing it. Then you try to explain the topic out loud. Even if you know you're going to mess it up. You will forget things. You will get details wrong. Good. That moment where you hesitate and think, wait, what happens next, is where learning actually begins. You write down exactly what you don't know. Then you go back and read only that part. Not the whole chapter, just the missing piece. Then you close the book again and try explaining it one more time. Fail again, fix again, repeat again. Getting my point? This feels uncomfortable, which is exactly why it works. Your brain remembers struggle, not comfort. Reading feels productive, but it's mostly illusion. Explaining from memory forces your brain to confront reality. Schools can't teach this because it requires individual feedback, and classrooms are built for efficiency, not effectiveness. One teacher, 30 students, one pace for everyone. So they teach in bulk and hope for the best. Now, even if you know what to learn, there's another problem no one talks about. Focus. You sit down to study, and 10 minutes later, your brain is begging for escape. Phone, snacks, YouTube, literally anything else. Most people think this means they're lazy or broken. They're not. Their brain is just bored. And instead of fighting that boredom, smart learners exploit it. This brings us to the second method, productive procrastination. Your brain hates being forced to do one thing for too long. So stop forcing it. Pick 2 subjects you actually need to learn. Let's say math and biology. You start with math. After a while, your brain starts resisting. Perfect. That's your cue to switch, not quit. You move to biology. Suddenly, biology feels easier, almost relaxing, because your brain thinks it escaped math. You focus better, even though you're still working. Then biology gets tiring, so you switch back. Math now feels like the escape. Your brain stays engaged because it always thinks it's choosing the lesser evil. You're not fighting distraction anymore, you're redirecting it. And guess what? Schools hate this idea because it destroys rigid schedules. Different students, different subjects, different times. Chaos. But chaos for the system doesn't mean chaos for learning. It means efficiency. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, fine, I can learn faster, but what about forgetting? Because let's be honest, most of what you study disappears within days. That's not because your memory is bad. It's because you're storing information in one place and hoping it sticks. It won't. To remember things long term, you need to force your brain to process information in multiple ways. This is where the third method comes in. Think of memory like laundry. If you just rinse clothes in water once, they're still dirty. You have to run them through different cycles. Information works the same way. You start by reading, but you don't stop there. You draw what you learned, even if your drawings look stupid. Then you turn the idea into a story, an analogy, or even a joke. Now emotions are involved, and emotions make memories stick. Finally, you explain why this information matters. What does it affect? What breaks if it's missing? That activates logical understanding. When you do this, the same idea lives in multiple places in your brain. Visual, emotional, logical, verbal. Forgetting it becomes hard, not because you're forcing memory, but because your brain has too many access points. This is how people with insane memory actually work. Not better brains, better processing. Now here's where most people still mess up. They learn faster, they remember more, but they're learning the wrong things. They try to master everything instead of what actually matters. This is where you need to be ruthless. In every subject, a small portion of material gives you most of the results. Exams, skills, understanding, all follow this pattern. If you don't identify the crucial 20%, you'll just become very efficient at wasting time. So ask yourself this: if I could only learn a small part of this topic, which part would give me the biggest payoff? What concepts unlock everything else? That's where you focus first. Everything else waits. Not forever, just until the foundation is solid. This is how people look like they're ahead. They're not doing more, they're doing the right things first. Let's pause for a second, because this is the uncomfortable part. If you're still struggling, is it really because learning is hard? Or because you've been studying passively and calling it effort? Rereading notes, highlighting textbooks, watching study with me videos, feeling busy without making progress. Be honest with yourself. Are you actually learning or just pretending to? I'm not saying this as someone who figured it out instantly. I used to confuse time spent with progress too. I used to think exhaustion meant effectiveness. It doesn't. What changed everything was realizing that learning is a skill, not a talent, and skills respond to systems, not wishes. So here's the decision you have to make. You can keep using methods designed for crowded classrooms and average outcomes, or you can start learning in a way that actually respects how your brain works. No one's going to stop you either way, but don't complain about slow progress if you refuse to change the process. Schools won't teach you this. Most people won't use it, but if you do, you don't need more time, more motivation, or more intelligence. What you need is just better methods. The question is simple. Are you going to apply this, or are we having the same conversation next semester?